do that. Yeah, fine.
Lights are on.
I don't know that they.
I got it here.
Why is this talking?
Here we go.
It's picking up.
Good morning and welcome to the Water and Sewage Facilities Authority regular meeting. It is May 17th, 2023 at 8:30 in the morning. Excuse me, there seemed to be an echo here. I was trying to get at this time, I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
I want to make a motion to amend the agenda, please.
All right, I have a motion to amend the agenda.
To add under other business, a question relative to finance.
All right, I have a motion to amend the agenda to add a budget item
I second
on.
the motion. Is that right?
Yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 2, 4, 6, 7, 7-0. Sorry, I have to count.
I move we adopt the agenda as amended.
All right, I have a motion to adopt the agenda as
Second.
so changed. I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 7-0 again. Thank you. All right. At this invocation, at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Jim Skinner to deliver the invocation and Mr. Dick Morrow to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Let's pray. Most heaven gracious Father, Lord, we give you thanks for this day, for all the blessings that you give us. Lord, bless the men and women of this authority. Help us to be faithful stewards of what you've given us. Through your Son's most holy and blessed name I pray. Amen.
You'll join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 5, citizens' comments. Speakers must sign up prior to the meeting and provide their names, addresses, and the topic they wish to discuss. Speakers must direct their remarks to the authority and not to individual members or the audience. Personal disagreements with individual members or county employees are not a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. The chairman has the right to limit your comments in the interest of disposing of the authority's business in an efficient and respectful manner. Speakers will be allocated 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters pertaining to the jurisdiction of the authority. No questions will be asked by any members during the citizen comments. Outbursts from the authority will not be tolerated, or from the audience will not be tolerated, excuse me. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. No speakers will be permitted to speak for more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the authority votes to suspend the rule. Do we have anybody to speak for the?
No, sir, no one has signed up to speak.
And just so everybody knows, I want to make sure, yes, I know nobody was here. We want to make sure we continue to say those words so anybody who wants to come in and speak knows about them and has seen those done before. Item number 6, consider approval of the April 19th, 2023 regular scheduled meeting and work sessions minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 7-0. Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 2, consider acceptance of the May 3rd, 2023 Planning Committee minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, on the minutes, I would like to make a correction first before we do it.
Okay?
It says that I said that phase 3 of the Dundee Mills should be completed before jumping to another area. What didn't get said is the context, is if the Pine Tree Circle project is not approved, then we should go there, so.
Okay.
May correct it, have it corrected to That's
Charlie,
not
can you
my,
take
that's
that?
not
Okay.
my primary goal, so with that correction, I move we adopt it or accept the minutes.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 7-0. Financial report. Consider acceptance of the financial report as presented by the General Manager, Johnson.
Good morning. First, I'd like to take this time, as you see, we have a new member in the audience today. This is our new engineer, Parker Petitzi. He comes to us from the manufacturing industry. He graduated in 2018 from Georgia Tech with a chemical and biomolecular engineering degree. That's a tongueful. He graduated in 2018, and what's really cool about looking at his progress, over 4 years, he went from a process engineer to a process manager. So he's got something there, right? And I think I'm seeing now what a lot of his employers have seen in him before, just in the short time he's had with us. The gentleman is very intuitive. He asks a lot of questions. I think he's going to be able to do some pretty awesome things with our authority, but I want to take this time to formally introduce you to Parker.
Welcome, Parker. We're glad to have you.
Does anyone have any questions for Parker?
We're just glad to have him, I can
Awesome.
tell you.
It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm excited. I've lived in Georgia for about 22 years now. I just moved around before when I was really young, but so I'm excited to work for you guys and serve the local community.
Super, thank you.
Just work 60 hours a week, we'll have no problem.
All right, let's go, Joseph.
Okay.
We're doing finance?
Yep, we're trending well with our customers. We have 15,378 customers, and that is looking as of the end of April. Really, that's about it. I'm looking year-over-year growth. We're trending around 2 to 3% customer base. Looking at the water sales report, Charlie. We've sold 704 million gallons of water. Of that, we are looking at a revenue surplus of roughly 4.5% to 5%. So we're going to end the year well.
There's a whole lot of businesses would like to have what he's doing at the end of each year.
That's about every.
Just
And
couldn't
we
get
have
the
224 days left in reserve of operating. So notice how that number's really not changing. Our expenditures are tracking like they should. And the Water Authority hasn't, the only monies that we're actually getting in that reserve account right now is just interest income. Are there any questions?
So we have, oh, go ahead. Excuse me, go right ahead.
On this sheet, have you gone over this sheet? This says, figures being recommended for.
Oh, that's mine, we're gonna do that later.
Okay, there you go. All right, so, go ahead. Then that's my question was on something else.
Okay, and that says year-to-date, on the bottom of that chart that we've got, we're $3 million basic profit FY,
Correct.
year-to-date.
Yep.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to accept the general manager's financial report?
You do.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the financial report? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 8-0, thank you. Motion carries. Special committee report number 8. At this time, I'd like to ask Committee Chairman Dick Morrow to take over for the Planning Committee update.
Thank you very much. We had a very good planning meeting, and the essence of it was the CDBG grant issue. We've talked about that at length for the Pine Tree Circle, which I think from what I'm hearing from the board and for our committee members, is the strong consensus that we want to have that as our primary target area. However, it's possible that would not qualify, depending on the work up there and taking the data. So we wanted a backup plan, so we didn't do all this and then it not qualify, and we'd be losing a year. So we talked about the Dundee Mills area, phase 2 is to finish that, and we talked about East Griffin. So we have 3 highly stressed areas, if you will. And I think our consensus is that we ought to investigate or review, what do you call it when you go out?
Survey.
Survey, that's the word I'm looking for, thank you. These senior moments keep popping up more regularly. Survey all 3 areas while we're doing it at one time, and then pick the ones that qualify, and then look at which ones would be most likely to get the CDBG grant. So we take a holistic view of all 3 areas, and that way we won't waste a year. We'll pick the one that works best.
Thank you, and I agree. Any other comments on that
So we
approach?
recommend that we go before the Board of Commissioners and request a CDBG grant application and start the process.
Do we do the study
Yeah.
before the
Yeah.
request?
I think we've
The
already,
study has to happen before it requests the CDBG, right?
You requested through the Board of Commissioners that they approve to move forward with the study.
yes.
Okay, but I'm missing something. Why does the Board of Commissioners need to tell us, give us permission to move forward with the study?
Because the CDBG
Has to go
application goes
I
through,
know that. I know that the CDBG goes through the county because you're the governmental entity. But as a board, the Board of Commissioners cannot give us permission
Well, let me
to
say.
do a study. That's what I'm saying, the study, not to
Yeah,
apply
but
for the grant,
I
the
think
study.
The purpose is, we don't want to spend our money and do a study and then find the board doesn't approve moving ahead
that's correct.
with the CDBG. We just want the formality that
Which
they're good
board?
with this.
The
Which
commissioners,
board?
the commissioners.
Commissioners.
I'm
So,
confused.
so if the,
Talk to me, legal guy.
So what they're saying is that they don't want to invest this board's resources and energy towards a study without knowing or having a thought that the Board of Commissioners would approve of the study. Is that correct?
That's right. And let us move forward.
So
We don't
the
wanna
Board
spend
of
our money
Commissioners
and
was
then
not required to approve the study, but they went through the formality, so they would have to green
So I
light.
just want to make it clear, we are not required to get the permission of the Board of Commissioners to do a study in the water
No,
authority.
no.
No.
correct.
If the Development Authority wanted to do a study, they would not come and ask us for it. If anybody else wanted to do a study or apply for a grant, the Airport Authority, they would not ask us permission to do a study.
That's right.
I just want everybody to understand, we have the authority to decide whether or not we want to do a study, not the Board of Commissioners. So what was your motion again? You wanted to ask the Board of
Well,
Commissioners.
that we want to move forward with the request of the Board of Commissioners that they're, excuse me,
Their support of a grant.
support of a grant
application.
and the CDBG grant for this purpose. And if they approve of that, then.
I think that's already been done. I think you all
Did-
came to,
did we-
this
did we do
board.
this? Did
ca-
Joseph come?
So the planning committee, I gave an update that we went and asked the Board of Commissioners the approval to do a joint RFP to go after a grant writer, grant administrator, and a consultant.
That's right.
To do a future CDBG grant. So the intent is, we're gonna do an RFP, we're gonna solicit a team, we're gonna survey the areas, we're gonna get those survey results back, bring it in front of the Spalding County Water Authority Board. They're gonna pick the area they wanna target, then the consulting, grant writing, and grant administration team will present an application around that area we select. That will then give it to the Board of Commissioners for them to
Because
submit.
we're overseeing the CDBG application.
That's correct.
Not because the Board of Commissioner has to approve it.
Correct.
I just want to make sure, because it sounded like what he was saying was that we have to get the Board of Commissioners permission. to
We
do
just
that.
wanted to get the Board of Commissioners, permission that they would allow us to help write a grant on behalf of the Spalding County Board of Commissioners.
Right, but not to do the study.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
that's, I just
Yeah.
want
Yes,
to make
ma'am.
clear.
Okay, well, you explained it much better than I did, so thank you very much. Anyway,
All right, and
that's where we're going with this.
yes. And
So I was confused. I didn't know we'd actually gotten this from the board. We have from commissioners? Okay, so Joseph has already taken care of that.
Yes, we're in the process of drafting the RFP
Okay.
that we'll submit.
I knew you said you.
a great
moved ahead,
move,
but I
a
didn't.
great move on your part to say, let's do all three. That's a really good idea, so thank you for that idea from coming forth.
Yeah, thank you.
Why is it 3 areas and not 4 areas?
Well, we picked Pine Tree Circle, East Griffin, and the Dundee area. What's the fourth one?
North Expressway.
Right.
But we're doing that in the overlay.
Yeah, that does not qualify for a CDBG grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is strictly the grants. we're
The
going
grant.
after.
Yes,
that.
Okay.
yes, yes.
I
Which is
Yeah,
understand.
we're-
above beyond our
Yeah,
other
that-
study,
Right. Okay, that makes good sense.
that's the Rebecca study.
Yeah,
the Rebecca study, yes.
yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. Everybody understand this, because this is, okay, let's move on then.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask the general manager something? Joseph, when I hear us talking about stuff like this, and I didn't make the last planning committee meeting, but it just makes me think that, okay, we're talking about when we're doing the corridor studies, we wanted to kind of hit each end to see which is the area we need to go and pick cherries in, and then we're talking about these. Do we really have a strategic plan? Do we have a 5, 10, 15-year plan? Because, I mean, the stuff that we're doing would be the stuff that's in a strategic plan. You know, and I think that we're using broad strokes so that we can get down to the final, but it just would make so much more sense if we had a actual roadmap.
So I was under the impression the sewer feasibility study was going to help provide that roadmap, because we're going to look at 4 corridors. We were going to select projects in each corridor that we wanted to target that would then lead to larger projects, and that strategic plan of saying, okay, well, over the next 5 years, this is what we expect to do. We are jumping around, and the CDBG, the Pine Tree Hill area, keeps coming up. So I'm bringing you the information that you're asking for, and I keep saying the sewer feasibility study is kind of it should be the guiding arm for this to determine, because the Pine Tree Hill area, we did include in the AKB corridor district. So I understand your concern, and I have those concerns as well.
I agree. We can't get a plan till we know what we're working with, so.
Yeah,
Well,
let-
we don't-
I'm not necessarily meaning a definitive plan. A definitive project is what I hear you're saying, but I'm saying the plan of how we get there. We don't know that, and maybe it'll tell us that in the sewer feasibility study, but it would just seem more coherent if, you know, by 5 years from now, we wanted to have X, Y, Z. We don't, as far as I can tell, I know where we want to be on the fund balance and on how many water hydrants, but is there really something that leads us to the arrow?
So the board made the decision to get out of the sewer business and decommission the Springs plant. Then we talked about getting back in the sewer business and looking at these different corridors in Tri-County and AKB and North Expressway. So the sewer feasibility study is going to look at those to determine, is it financially feasible and what does it look like? So.
Based on that, we can-
Exactly. I mean, if the board wants to get into sewer, we can get into sewer tomorrow. How much money do you want to spend?
Yeah.
And what do you want to size it for? So.
I just hope that at some point we get to a place, just like the question Wanda asked, which was confusing to me. We do have a sewer project, I mean, we just decommissioned a project, then we're looking at sewer feasibility studies, and now we're kind of, you know, going at the grand total. Not that there's anything wrong with it, I just, where I'm sitting, I can't see what the big plan is.
And I
As
guess,
chair of the planning commission, I agree, and we need a plan.
Yeah, and remember, a lot of our decisions have been predicated on the fact that the city of Griffin has had a moratorium in the Shoal Creek Basin, right? So now that that sewer moratorium is not in effect, we're studying in a tri-county area that, guess what? Theoretically, it's in, well, it's not theoretically in, it is in the city of Griffin sewer service area that's not under a sewer moratorium, that if a developer wanted to present their case to the city of Griffin, they're taking people on a case-by-case basis. So we're studying areas that could, in effect, have sewer today. So I share some of your same concerns. And the sewer feasibility study will provide an indication of is sewer going to be financially feasible and what that sewer system should look like if we want to go in that business.
Ms. Gwynn, I think the answer is, we don't have that plan, and I'm not sure we're smart enough to develop that plan at this moment. This is part of that transition from where we were, which was a long way ago, to where we're trying to go. And as we move into that, we're finding pieces. The first big step is, do we want to get into sewer? And that whole business is kind of taken over. I am kind of counting on Dick and the planning committee to start pulling together and say, let's say we don't do sewer at all. Let's say we vote not to do sewer. What's our focus? Where are we going to go to be able to do this? CBGD, is that where we're going to try to do something with? So what is it? So I understand that. I'm just not sure we're smart enough at this point. We should have a big master plan. I just don't see that we have that vision yet.
Maybe we can do that in 24.
Yeah.
We should be there in 24.
We're getting smarter, and we need to talk to more people. Joseph is moving us light years ahead from where we were 2 years ago, but we're just not there yet.
Joseph, when does Rebecca think she's gonna finish? I don't remember what you said.
So we should have the draft feasibility study done by the end of August. Then we'll have comments, and then she should have a final issued report in September.
So when we get that, then we can start figuring out our plan from there.
Correct, and remember in FY '24's budget, we did budget for additional sewer-related projects for consultant, because there are additional reports and studies that would have to be done in order to keep going down that road.
Okay. Thank you.
And as we move along, just remember, the county has a comprehensive plan that talks about what we want to do, where we want to go, and Flume that talks to that issue. So some of that stuff, if you haven't skimmed through it, my recommendation is skim through it so that you have an understanding of what the county says is where the targets of opportunity are and where we're trying to go. Just, it's not that the county is directing the bar, I'll make sure we all understand that. I'm not trying to get into that fight. I'm just trying to say, the county board of commissioners says this is what we want it to look like. All right. Dick, anything else from you?
No.
Did you talk about decommissioning?
Yes, he had getting close. You wanna finish up the decommissioning talk here?
Yeah, so the Water Authority, we issued the notice of termination to the state to terminate our NPDES discharge permit, and we gave them a post-closure certification. So once we put them on notice that we were ready to formally go down that road to terminate the NPDES permit, we're in the 30-day public window comment period. I don't anticipate any comments, because we're actually going to remove one of the discharges that could have been potentially causing any issues to water quality downstream. So we're in the formality piece now. So we're just waiting on that official letter to say we no longer have to submit any monthly reports.
I think the only decision to be made now is if the county wants to assume the property that is a potential park and take title to the property. So that's a commission decision, and let us know, because otherwise we'll have it.
And what do we do with it? Yes, what do we do with it if the county's not gonna take it?
Yeah,
All right. All right, you're all through?
thank you.
Okay. Item number 9, general manager report.
So looking at the non-revenue water report, we're up to 216 non-revenue events. And there's really nothing that stands out from last month. Going to the water meter sales report, we're back tracking like we should. We've had 247 meters purchased fiscal year to date, which is a little over 100% of what we assumed or budgeted for. And then fire hydrant maintenance, we're down to roughly taking 21 months to cycle through all the fire hydrants in the county. And I will remind you, we still have not formally reclassified Mr. Elliott to fire hydrant maintenance because we're waiting on that official MPDS termination letter from the state. And we have to get him post-certified, and we're in the process of working through those, that transition.
Okay.
Going to the projects, as y'all requested, we submitted a request for qualification for a conflict attorney. When the RFQ closed, we had 3 firms that presented statement of qualifications. You had Girard and Davis, Heck, Walker and Jordan, Gregory, Dole, Calhoun, and Rogers. So I would like to request the board select some members for an evaluation committee, because we're going to need people to evaluate these statement of qualifications.
We'll do that in other business. You'll see a motion to be able to do that in the next one down.
Given an update on the sewer feasibility study, we did have joint conversations with the city of Sonoy and the city of Hampton. And the consensus is each are willing to partner if we should choose to do so. We still don't know what that would look like from a monetary standpoint. We're too early on. We told them that we're looking at roughly 100,000 gallons in each corridor. But until Rebecca's done and we understand if that is even a feasible solution, there's really no point in looking at, okay, what would a fee structure look like? Who owns what? But the consensus is they both would be willing to work with the Water Authority if we choose to go down that road.
Awesome. Okay, good.
I've already talked about the demolition and the CDBG Phase 2 project. Crawford is actively installing new sewer mains every day. I have no indication thinking that they're not going to meet their substantial completion date. And the Flint River Bridge main relocation, we have officially made some offers to property owners. Well, our acquisition team has made some offers, and we are waiting for those easement closings to occur. Once the easements are closed and we have them, then we can start construction. The only notable project through the plan review process is Pine Glen. All the construction has been completed, and they have a service established with the city of Griffin, so they are a customer of ours now.
How's that work? I'm sorry, I'm supposed to know this and I don't remember. We have a master meter into Pine Glen, and then they route the water internally?
So they kept all the internal piping. Our jurisdiction stops at the meter. So once it goes to the meter, it's Pine Glen. They still have the same reporting requirements as they did before. They just now have a reliable water source, which is our water source.
And are they mixing water?
No. So as soon as they tied onto our system, they had to terminate and cap their well. Because their well was the issue. It was causing a lot of issues. They had high iron and manganese in the water, so while it's not a water quality issue, it's a aesthetic. I mean, who wants to drink water that looks like tea?
So they're still a permitted water system?
Yes, they will be a permitted water system. So we put a stipulation to help reinforce the fire department that in the event that they ever need to add additional capacity or flow requirement, they have to come back in front of the Board of Commissioners and Community Development and install a fire suppression system inside that facility. or development. Then it would be, we would take away the meter and we would sub-meter each one of the homes.
And they're, I'm sorry.
Question. What about hydrants in that park? We don't have any, like generally we say that you gotta have a hydrant every 500 feet, and that's a pretty big park.
So we vetted the requirement, and per the state fire marshal, the state says that changing a water source is not a substantial enough change that would require them to update their fire system or their water system to county fire code. So per the Georgia EPD's requirements for water systems, fire flow is not a mandated requirement. That is a local requirement. So that's why we have to work with, in tandem with the Spalding County Board of Commissioners, and make sure that we're helping catch these developments that if they have a substantial change. So if Pine Glen ever wants to add additional water, additional homes, right? And they need to upsize a water main, that now triggers them where that's a substantial change to their system. Now they have to come back and they would have to go put true water mains throughout the entire development.
See, we have the best of all worlds, in my opinion. We bring water up to their doorstep, charge it for it, they pay us, and then they maintain everything else, so. That works good.
From a,
The meters and the pipes and all that.
from a
stuff.
regulatory standpoint, yes, but what's the goal? Do we want to make sure every resident has
Stability
consistent, correct?
To have fire protection, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I thought you said it was over, how many homes out there, over 300?
The population is 300, which would roughly, using census numbers, around 80 to 100.
Yeah, there's right at 87.
Mhm.
Well, that's their issue.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I mean, Charlie and myself have fielded calls where people complain about the water being cloudy. Well, I know what cloudy is. It's air in the line. So if there's a main break, they're gonna, if they don't evacuate the air, it's gonna be cloudy. But if you fill a cup and you set it on the counter, in about 5 minutes, it goes away. But it's still a nuisance. And the average person doesn't understand that. They think the water, something's wrong with it.
You know, I think Ms. Gwynn's comment is powerful. There's a legal issue, which the state says we don't have to do anything about fire hydrants. And there's kind of an immoral issue to me to say we have an obligation to think through and make sure that if we think that they need to do that, that we need to figure out how to talk, put pressure, whatever the right words are, to say this needs to have a fire hydrant in there.
Well, we did. They're better off than they were.
Oh, absolutely. But
And if they do anything else in that park, we put a
Trigger.
stipulation in that they gotta have fire hydrants.
Yeah,
I mean,
we-
we've done all we can do.
I agree with that.
no, legally, absolutely no question. It's just kind of a moral obligation to say, hey, there's people out there that don't have fire hydrants that we need to,
Well, I grew up without fire hydrants at the farm, so we're not the first people in the world.
yes. That was, we're talking about in the last couple centuries.
Well, the reason I'm
Well,
saying
I think we've
Shots
talked about
fired.
Pine Glen enough.
that, not
Well, yeah.
not
Good
that
point.
they're stick-built homes, but, I mean, you saw how easily everything was ripped away with wind. So I can just imagine that fire hits one of those things, it's over to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, in no time at all, which is just, I'm that person, I'm thinking that. So I mean, I don't know that there's an answer to it, but somewhere in the middle of that place, there should be a fire hydrant so that the people in the back can have access if there is a fire or some sort of disaster.
Yeah, and
We'll
I
hope one day
understand.
that helps.
I understand it's a public safety issue where if Spalding County firemen go and try to put out something, the amount of time it takes for them to actually lay hose to get to the back of it, yeah, it's gonna be tough. And I'm not a fireman. I don't know what they're up against, but by that
Okay.
time,
All right.
it's probably spread.
My point is, there's some moral issues that sometimes we have to think about with our constituents, our
You can appoint
ratepayers.
You can appoint a morals committee if you want.
Yeah,
No,
thank
it
you.
is.
Yes,
It's-
in our
it's-
country right now.
It's not a deeded lotted subdivision, it's one giant piece of private property, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do about that?
Yeah.
All right, now, we have others that are in some situations with wells and things like that, do we not?
We do. There are roughly 3 additional mobile home parks that are, mobile home parks residential subdivisions that are off private water systems. So, as I mentioned last month, what we're gonna do is make sure that our development standards, if you choose to go down the private water system route, we're gonna put teeth in there saying, okay, well, we're gonna tell you what materials you can use. We're gonna ask that the county create they could have like a maintenance bond, an escrow account, where in the event that something happens and a customer calls and says that they don't have water, you know what? The water authority will go out, commission a contractor to go fix it, and then the county can use the escrow account to pay for that fix. So we want to incentivize good behavior, and that's the only legal avenues we have.
Okay, so we're working the other issues, and we think the policies are in place so that it won't happen in the future with us anymore. All right,
Go back to the Hampton and Sonoy comments. I think we're pleased to see that they're willing to work with us. But this creates an issue, again, with, you mentioned the county master plan, because we're all in this together, this region, and I'm happy to see that so far the people around us are willing to work with us. However, that opens up a lot of questions about other counties' influence in our growth, for better or for worse. So you talk about the comp plan. I don't know that the comp plan necessarily considers all that. So there's a whole new chapter coming with Sonoy growing and Hampton potentially growing and whoever knows what else. So
great point, Dick. I think that's a great point.
So there's a lot more to think about than the Spalding County is the
Yes.
region.
And, as I remember really and truly, the comp plan, when we worked it, really didn't look at the interfaces with other counties and what we were trying to do. It's a new ballgame for us to be able to take.
I'll make one comment. I don't want to get into this, but we know that Sonoy has a new sewer plant, which opens up the door for stuff, if you will, stuff to happen. It's almost like a bumper sticker. So those things are out there, and like I say, we're in the middle of a region. We're not just Spalding County.
Yes, agree. Okay. Anything else from you on your general manager's report?
That's it.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
We have a motion to accept, yes, sir.
Yeah, accept, okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 8-0, thank you. Other business, that's where we are? Okay. Next regular meeting will be
No.
June,
Don't you want to get mine?
I was going to do it right
Okay.
after the ad hoc.
Okay, okay.
Next scheduled meeting will be held on June 21st, 2023 at 8:30 in room 108 in the Spalding County Annex. Item 2, ad hoc committee appointment of conflict attorney selection. I'd like to pick the following 3 people to be on the conflicts attorney selection. Ms. Gwynn, Mr. Wade, and myself on that selection panel. I'm trying to keep this to 3 people. I don't want to have us all on it to be able to look at and spend time and try to get everybody together and do all that stuff.
Well, the rest of us are relieved.
Yes, okay, that's kind of what I thought.
Don't apologize.
Except for Wade and Gwen, they're all relieved. Okay.
I knew Wade was gonna be on it.
Yeah. Yes, and you can tell by some of the comments that Ms. Gwynn has, she's ready to get into this also. All right, do I need a motion to approve? Is there anything, or is that good enough?
No, you appointed.
No, you appointed.
Appointing. Okay, good enough. Last item is item from Ms. Cheryl.
Okay. I understand that Well, at the last meeting, we approved a budget to be presented to the county commissioners. I understand that there have been some proposed changes made since that time. I would like to make a motion that we once again still present the budget that we approved at the last meeting to the county commission.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Let's have some discussion on this.
Why would we not amend it if we know that it's actually amended?
We didn't amend it.
We didn't amend it.
No, but
Just let the discussion happen, Ms. Gwynn, and we'll get into it. Okay.
So, as going through this budget process, what I presented to the Finance Committee and the board did not account for money market interest and the line item contribution to reserve. So let me explain these two. I didn't account for money market interest in the budget because I don't believe we, as an authority, should have to, that's not going to affect our day-to-day. We shouldn't count on that money market. So I'll take full responsibility of that. We had to include it in our revenue projection. So that's to the tune of roughly $45,000. So that has been added into the revenue expectation. And then, so the offsetting account is now contribution to reserves. So, once again, I didn't understand that if there was a surplus, you have to account for every dollar in the, is it a zero-based budget? So, with the zero-based budgeting aspect, every dollar has to have an offset. So, the major change in the budget that is being presented to the Board of Commissioners results from those two line items.
So that's basically it?
Well, there's some minor changes to general liability. We don't know what Spalding County, what negotiations they're going to do with health insurance, workers' comp, general liability, or the exact figures on employee salaries and wages and everything. So I estimated FICA taxes. I did the best I could to estimate projections for those accounts. Those are the main changes. There were some insignificant changes on, some licensing was taken out of the GIS budget. The budget that's being presented to the Spalding County Board of Commissioners, we can't operate within it. I'm fully confident in that. So whether we stick with the budget that was approved from you guys or the one that's recommended to the Board of Commissioners, we can operate within that budget. So,
Let me ask the finance chair. Do you think it would be better to adopt this amendment or not, is our budget? Well, how do you want to handle it?
I think that we can stick with the one that we originally came up with. But you can ask the Secretary Treasurer.
Well, I have problems with somebody changing their budget we voted on. However, if there are good reasons, but we need some transparency here, and I guess that's kind of what bothers me.
Is that all that changed?
so
They're not solidified, actually, because we really haven't figured out what the salaries, there's a bunch of stuff that we haven't figured out as a county that would affect
correct.
their
That is
pay scale.
correct.
So I think the budget would have to be, regardless if you went with the one that was approved to you guys, I didn't account for the money market interest, and I didn't account for that offsetting contribution to reserve. So
So was the
it would,
cart before the horse?
yes, I'll take full responsibility for that.
So-
Now, hold it. There's no, somebody did something wrong here.
No, there is not.
This is, we amend the budget, and we do amendments to the budget all the time. It happens every quarter and stuff like that. So, this is a different issue. Yes, Ms.
I
Sherrill?
think the issue is to take a budget before the county commission that hasn't been approved is wrong. We approved one. Either we take that one or we approve the amended one. But we don't take one before the county commission that's not been approved.
We agree with that.
We agree with that.
But he doesn't have all the numbers for the amendment, so the amendment may have to happen after the budget is approved.
No, you
So
gotta-
When are you approving the budget? What's our timeline here?
I
June
wish, God, I
22nd.
could tell you.
June 22nd.
So in our June meeting, which is prior to that, we could have an amended budget on the agenda to approve for tweaking it, and we'd all be
Correct.
happy. Is that
And
what I'm
That's
saying?
kind of what I was getting at. Are we just, did we get too involved
Too early?
too early, is what I'm asking.
For the big stuff, absolutely not.
I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong, I'm
No,
just, you know.
the big portions of where we're going, how many fire hydrants and things like that, all, okay. But the stuff that has to do with salaries, all the individual things that are minor issues, and those are gonna change throughout we're gonna have a number of those changes as inflation hits and stuff like that. Those are gonna continue to change. That part of the budget is not moved 1 inch. We would make sure that if somebody said, we're not gonna allow fire hydrants to be bought back to us, that's our decision, not anybody else's decision. The 2% on pay raises for employees, different story altogether. So please understand that it's, like we said, Dick said, we'll get it back to us on our 21 June meeting with what we think is the exact numbers all the way around for this board to approve
And amend the
before,
budget.
to amend the budget to be able to do that. It is a little bit awkward. Let me be kind of candid here. This is big-time budget for Joseph to be putting together and learning and seeing how all these pieces fit together. Part of it is just.
Amazing job. What an amazing job
Yes, he did.
Joseph has done.
But this is any of us who had to do that and say, here's how much your salaries are gonna be, here's how much this is, it's just a little bit too much for us to be able to do it this time.
Okay, so
Here-
we can end this with saying our next meeting, we'll get amended budget to approve to move on.
Correct, yes. Ms. Cheryl?
Okay, I'm gonna withdraw my motion, but I'm gonna make a suggestion that henceforth, anything that is approved this early be tentatively,
Be what?
be tentatively
Yes,
approved.
yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Maybe
Yeah.
we kind of,
And we know the big, let's focus on the big pieces that we're in charge of to be able to do some stuff. There's some stuff down in there that says, here's how we do things like that. It's like kind of tax numbers, you know, they are what they are wherever. All
But in
right, so yes,
as far as semantics go,
yes,
when you say you approve something and it's gonna be presented, everybody understands that. It's going to be approved and submitted, and that doesn't intend to be altered. So
Well-
hence, it needs to be tentative approval.
yeah, I agree with what Cheryl, because I take, if we approve the budget, that's the budget.
That's
Yes.
right.
That's how I understand it.
yes. And that's unfortunately, you know, we live in the world where Jenna comes in and says, I've got to make 13 amendments to the agenda, 13 amendments to the budget to be able to do this. This column needs to move over to
Now,
this.
we need to approve our drafted
Yes,
budget,
yes.
subject to
And believe me,
the
we,
CPAs.
I think that'll make for much better understanding amongst the members.
So we won't have this heartburn not understanding what went
yeah.
on.
And there's no intent on the part of the county manager to decide that this is his budget to move money from one place to the next without us knowing it.
Never.
No. So, all right, thank you. All right, she withdrew her motion. To somebody withdraw their second? Who seconded? Dick. All right, so we're moving on from there. All right, thank you, everybody. This was a contentious issue, and I understand that, and I'm sorry about it. All right, and I've made the appointment of 3 people to do that. Let's go around, Secretary Treasurer comments?
Just as an opportunity to pile on what was just discussed, kudos to Joseph. This was his first budget this year. Did just a phenomenal job. Very, very pleased with the performance that Joseph is doing for our community in the Water and Sewerage Facilities Authority. Welcome,
He's gone.
he departed?
Yes.
He's
Got to
out in the
work.
field with Richard.
Outstanding. Welcome to our new employees. I am optimistically looking forward to this next year for our Water and Sewerage Facilities Authority and the increased growth that Joseph is leading this county through in order to move us forward. Very happy to be a part of the team. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Okay.
Joseph. Thank you for all you do.
Ms. Gwynn?
I just wanted to say, I forget who said it, but part of the comprehensive plan, in our comprehensive plan, we did look at the fact that where the county lines are, north, south, east, and west, that just on the other side of the county line, in most cases, there is commercial development. And so, in those areas of the county where we had generally had, low density, at those borders, those areas are deemed commercial areas. So we were looking at the fact that,
Good.
that we know that at most of the county lines, it's not just gonna be residence to residence, it's usually gonna be some commercial thing that will connect them, so. The other thing was, Joseph, did we ever get the final numbers on our customers, the customers that we should have had in the industrial park that were not, using as much?
Yes,
How
ma'am.
many customers was that?
So it's 4?
4 customers?
Yes, ma'am. Would you
And
like an
we're all-
update?
we've got everything straight with that now.
So I met with Brandon last Friday, and we talked about that exact issue. There was a total of roughly 91 locations that were going to be reallocated. We're actually going to end up getting a little bit more because some of the future or past pretenses that everybody was operating under weren't necessarily what the contract says. So we're going to end up getting more customers. It may be around the 20-ish. So the city of Griffin is fully aware, and they understand we're going to follow the contract, and it's been a good relationship.
And these are throughout the county, not just in the industrial park?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You know, there were some comments about, we keep hearing comments about our contract. We're taking a pretty active participation with the contract to make sure that these kinds of things fall into the right side. We weren't so certain that this was the absolutely best thing that we could possibly have, but the contract is proving, as we take line item by line item apart and say, hey, here's the definition you all used, we need these 91 to come back on our side. So this is a good thing that's happening because of Joseph reading, rereading, reading again, and then talking to the city about how the definitions of them really were done. Excuse me.
I just want to say one more thing. Every time that I come to this water authority meeting, I am just so impressed with the board members on this board. I still go to a lot of meetings, but man, in here, we get stuff done.
Well,
I just, you guys are awesome.
we're all knocking on wood. Yeah, a good point. And I feel that same way. Miss Gwen and I sit on a lot of boards, and we get to a lot of boards that are sitting there, and you're going, okay, when's the time up, can we have lunch and stuff like that. All right, the Secretary Treasurer said that I went out of order. I was supposed to go to the general manager after him, so, Joseph, anything else from you?
I do apologize for the budget debacle with not understanding these line items. So
Not needed.
I'm sorry
Not
about
needed.
that.
Thank you.
Joseph, you're gonna learn that budgeting is an art and not a science.
Yeah.
Well, and
I mean,
guess
it is. But
if
it's I
the
mean,
county manager wouldn't have got sick,
You might have somebody
he
get
could
a
have helped me.
raise that you didn't plan for, or somebody leave. So, I mean.
Don't get sick next year, please, sir.
You're doing
Yes.
absolute wonderful work.
Well, thank you for
Technically,
the,
it is kind of Steve's fault. so.
It is my fault. I apologize.
Yes, all right. Ms. Cheryl, back over to you.
I just thank you for the good job everybody does. I appreciate it, and thank you for letting us get this clarification.
Okay. Mr. Dick?
I once again agree with Gwen.
Whoa.
Well, write it down.
That's right. No, I think we have an excellent board that is determined to make things happen. Going back to something we said before, Cheryl's leaving, she's not coming back. She's gonna take care of her grandkids. She's head of our finance committee. We have some intelligent people and pretty well versed in finance. However, when the commission is looking for a new member, it would certainly, I think, help ours to beef up our finance arm because we're losing her. And if we had an accounting sort of finance person added to the board who could work with Joseph in this arena and help him with some of these i's that need dotted, it would enhance the board. So I just recommend that we further enhance our financial membership here.
Yes, and please, if you, board members, if you see somebody, talk to them, get to Gwen or I to be able to get them to fill out the form to that we'll appoint so that we can do that. So that's important. This is us picking somebody and then sending it on and get the right person. So if you see an accountant out there or somebody you think is deep into the money business and understands how that works, it would be great. Grab hold of them. We'll get the, let us know, we'll get the form to them. They can fill the form out. We can get it to the Board of Commissioners, and then we'll get the voted on, as opposed to somebody who's walking down the street and says, I'm drinking water. Oh, can I be on the Water Authority? You know, and the next thing we know is, so, yes. All right, thanks, Dick. Anything else? Ms. Wanda?
I just want to commend the good media attention that the Water Authority, their picture was in the paper, let's see, it was, Tuesday. So congratulations, Commissioners, honor Water Department employees. And Charlie just got a real impressive award, and I was, we have an excellent support staff.
Manager of the Year,
Yeah.
Office
amazing.
Manager of the Year.
So that's good,
Well.
good attention.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, for the state.
That wasn't in our newsletter.
So
That's Charlie blushing, in case you all can't see it from across the.
Thank you.
I left the clipping, her pretty picture in the paper receiving this award, in my desk at the office. Just pretend like you're looking at it, but it was an
Yes.
incredible award.
Yes.
Well deserved.
Good job.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Wanda?
No.
Mr. Jeff? Jim?
Nothing.
Wade?
Bah humbug.
One of the thank you.
I figured we need to bring it back down a little bit.
Two issues for me. One of the things that we decided at one of our retreats a couple of years ago or something is board development. We're going to, Jeff and I were on that subcommittee to be able to do something about that. And if you think you need to go to some kind of training to get better informed, educated, any words like that, let us know. We believe that education is important. We try to do things. We're getting smarter in sewer by just going through the RFQ to be able to do that. So part of that is what I consider board development. But if you've got other areas that you want to do something in, water first and things like that, that you're interested in, we're for that. There are conferences, there are exhibits that if you want to go and look at, see some stuff, definitely would entertain all that kinds of stuff. Second point is Ms. Gwynn's point about the strategic plan. In '24, we're going to need to start putting our mind around strategic direction, not just saying that it's sewer. There's other things that we can do besides sewer that is on the strategic plan. So start thinking through that. We'll let the planning committee kind of develop that and start to play around, and probably by Christmas time start saying, here's the big pieces of what a water plan, strategic water plan would look for us would look like. And we can start to pick and choose and talk our way through that. I'd like to, by the end of '24, have some kind of a rough outline looking for where we're going in the big picture of that. All right, anything from the attorney?
Good here.
Okay, Charlie? Okay. Do I have,
Yes. So
thank you, I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. We're adjourned. Thank you. 1 hour. Ooh.
Good times, good.
Huh?
Good times.
Yeah.